Hey everyone. So today we're busting vegan myths, and I was going to wait till the end of the discussion to show you some of the dishes that I made, but just to save some time, I'm going to try and multitask and scroll through some of these while I'm looking at my notes to see what I want to talk about. So if you can bear with me, we're going to try and do that the whole time. When people find out that you've come out as a vegan, a lot of times they will assume that you don't get enough nutrients, and this is one of the biggest misconceptions. It's probably the biggest misconception about veganism. And generally, when weight loss is talked about, it's considered a good thing. And I mean, it's an honorable achievement if you're talking about some of the fad diets that are going around, but the second you mention that you're vegan, suddenly weight loss is considered a bad thing. People will start saying, oh, well, you look sickly now, or you're malnourished, when actually you just look skinnier. And so when people haven't seen you in a while and suddenly you're 30 to 50 pounds lighter, their first thought is that because you're vegan, you're malnourished. Or it could be as something as simple as a person who's been plump for the past 10 years and suddenly they lose a lot of weight. It could be their age coming through a little bit as they get skinnier. And I know that's the case for me. Personally, when I lost 30 pounds, I felt a little more aged when I looked in the mirror. And not that I'm terribly old and wrinkled or anything, I'm only 41 years old, but my age has definitely shown a little more with weight loss. So there really are a lot of factors to consider. And most of the time, people jump to these conclusions about vegans only because they have allowed popular ideology and stereotypes to determine what they believe about vegans. So it's that mainstream mentality. That's what I'm going to try to dissolve some of those misconceptions. And right here, look at this. This is really good. My wife made some pumpkin butter completely from scratch. The sweetener is it's sweetened with chopped dates that she minced into this blend, and that's on homemade toast. There's a lot of good stuff out there, guys, and I'm going to keep showing you a lot of the good foods that we've been eating. Um, but like I said, it's that mainstream mentality that I'm going to talk about. So what I'm going to do today is just lay out a few things to bust this myth that vegans are malnourished. And first of all, let's differentiate between a vegan and someone who is whole food plant based. And the pictures that I'm showing you are mostly whole food plant based, not just vegan. I mean, not all vegans eat the right foods. So I would agree that a lot of vegans are malnourished, but no less malnourished than meat eaters who eat the same kind of foods. Okay. Honestly, most people don't realize that there are different levels of veganism. Sure, some vegans have lower standards than others, those are just some chocolate chips that we buy at the store. This was a good dessert. It was a pumpkin bars with homemade Cool Whip, I guess, made with almond milk and then a little cinnamon on top. Anyway, a lot of people look for these prepackaged junk foods with the vegan label. And I know a lot of vegans like that, but there are other vegans who lean more towards this whole food plant based lifestyle, which is basically what my wife and I try to lean towards most of the time. And then there are raw fruitarians who only eat raw fruits and vegetables in the most natural state as they can find them. Now, as beneficial as the raw fruitarian diet might be, it isn't practical for everyone. So we try to incorporate as many raw fruits and veggies as we can on a daily basis, but then we cook whole food, plant-based options for dinner. Plants, it is the base of our meals. And sure, we do occasionally have the junk foods here and there, but we certainly don't live off of those junk foods. Our diet, it's more than just staying away from animal products. It's more about quality than anything. Our bodies are temples, and we want to make sure that we are separating ourselves from what the world has to offer and whatever the world says is okay. And this is one of the things that people really need to wake up to. Most people think if it is FDA approved, then it's okay to eat, right? Well, not exactly, guys. As a matter of fact, that's just another major misconception about the modern food industry. It's by that logic, though, everything sold in the stores and fast food restaurants is okay to eat. And this is why so many people, even in the church, don't take this matter seriously, because they think the FDA stamp is an accurate gauge. But if we are children of God, then we shouldn't allow a world agency to determine how they are going to obey the Bible, how we are going to look at what the Bible teaches us about putting things into our temple. But it's why so many Christians don't take care of their temple, because they let the world decide what is good for them. And so here's just some constructive criticism, and I do mean this in a loving way. If we are truly worried about being separate from the world, then we need to take a closer look at what we allow into our bodies. And one of the things that my wife and I, there's some lasagna that she made ricotta cheese with. She made that with tofu and lentils on the inside. It's probably not the best picture. She has some pictures that would probably do it a lot more justice. But her lasagna is bomb. You would love it. And then the garlic bread she makes on the side, oh my goodness, it's so good. But like I said, I just want to challenge some of my friends, some of my vegan friends, because I know of so many people on these vegan social media groups who are always sharing their horror stories about trying to order something vegan from a fast food restaurant, but then realizing that when they get home and they eat it, they bit straight into a meat patty. I mean, if I had a nickel for every time I saw a post that someone shared their horror story, I'd be a rich man. And I think the last post I saw was some lady who either tried the Beyond Burger or the Vegan Whopper, whatever it was. Actually, someone was just talking about how they ordered the new KFC plant-based chicken and ate half of it before they realized it was really a dead chicken they were eating. So, I mean, these stories happen. Doesn't it make you want to go buy a Beyond Burger Happy Meal or whatever else they're propagating as fast food, as vegan in the fast food industry? You guys, the risk is not worth it. And I'm talking to my vegan peeps here, okay? That's why you hear about these stories all the time. It's because it happens so much. And these are my wife's oatmeal cream pies. So good. Let me go back just one more time. So good. I used to love eating oatmeal cream pies from Little Debbie, but these are the whole food plant-based version of that, and they are bomb. Anyway, like I said, you hear about these stories all the time. It happens so much. You really can't escape it. Even if fast food places do get your vegan order right, it's the quality, it's the cross-contamination. It's just not worth it. And if you think Beyond Burgers are good for you, you need to think again. I won't chance it. To me, the popular name brands of vegan products is highly sus, in my opinion. So we don't risk it. We cook our own foods at home just to minimize the processed foods as much as possible. For instance, our tacos, we start with a Mexi seasoned blend of quinoa and black beans. We use this as the base, or as a lot of people refer to it, it's a beef substitute. But I say that sarcastically because that is a common misconception. People think vegan recipes are substitutes for meat dishes, but if you understand how our Creator originally designed us, as the story is told in Genesis 1:29 and 30, then you'll know that anything after this is actually a substitute. So really it's backwards. Beans and quinoa are not a substitute for beef. Beef is actually a substitute for beans and quinoa, according to what our Creator originally imagined in the beginning. Anyway, next we chop a number of fresh veggies, fruits, like lettuce, radish, onion, jalapeno, tomatoes, cilantro, avocado, and sometimes we make pico or salsa or guacamole. Here's some of the tacos now. We make guacamole, but the best part, and I'm not talking about these tortillas, these corn tortillas that you see on the screen. Most of the time, and you're going to see pictures of these, we make our tortillas completely from scratch. And I mean completely. We have a grain mill, and we take whole wheat berries, and then we mill the wheat into fresh flour. And from there, my wife, she does her magic, and she makes the best tortillas that you've ever had. Or she will make naan bread, Naan, naan. That's how you pronounce it. And we have a version of gorditas, like we used to get at Taco Bell. And that's what we do with the naan bread. So that's our average Taco Tuesday, aside from any extras like Spanish rice, refried beans, or even sweet potato home fries, which we like to have with a lot of different meals, actually. So now I'm going to take it to the next discussion. And this might be a little hard for some people to hear. And that is that one benefit of becoming a vegan, or specifically whole food plant-based, is that it detoxifies the individual from any animal DNA that is in their body, and it kills off the parasites that are inside a person's body, or at least the parasites that live on meat. And if you don't know, parasites inhabit humans. That's just the way it is. Fortunately for vegans, we are less susceptible because we refrain from animal flesh and eggs, dairy products, anything that promotes and increases parasitic infestations. We can reverse that, eliminate that, by refraining from anything produced from an animal, eating the animal itself. Those parasites that live off that stuff will just back off, and you can eliminate them and kill them off. And this is where you might have an even harder time, but I'm going to take it a step further. If I were to go into the psychology of people's response to veganism, I could tie it in with the way parasites react. People often experience cognitive dissonance when being challenged to eliminate meat from their diets. Even just the thought of eliminating meat can have psychological triggers in a person's mind. For some people, it can make meat eaters have ill feelings towards vegans. I witnessed this on one of my social media pages on a daily, regular basis, responses that I get about some of my posts. And really, it's just a combination of there's multiple factors, and it's not just physically or mentally. It can be spiritual too. But ultimately, the parasites can influence an individual to become threatened or angry by the thought of eliminating animal products from their diet, because the parasites feed off the flesh that is digested by the consumer. Have any of you ever heard of the Marvel character called Venom? He's in the Spider-Man series, and obviously the character is fictional, but it's based on reality. Venom is a parasite who unites himself with a human host, and then he takes over his personality. He looks for victims to eat because he is a flesh-hungry parasite that can't get enough meat. And if you know anything about Hollywood, then you'll know that they do take real concepts and they turn them into fictional stories. And I know it gets into a lot of the conspiracies like predictive programming and other methods used against the population. But either way, Venom is a parallel of the human behavior of eating flesh, influenced by the parasites within that individual. And when a person experiences withdrawal after eliminating meat, it's literally because that person is starving the parasites from what they live on. It is how the parasites are reacting to the host that is eliminating the animal flesh from their diets. Here's some of the pico that we make when we do tacos. It's really good. We do jalapeno, onion, tomato, cilantro. That is key, guys. And then whatever else, whatever seasonings my wife throws in there. Anybody like sushi? I used to love eating sushi, especially rice rolls. And it doesn't have to have the fish. You can make it. This sauce is really good. That's something we just throw some vegan mayo, and then we throw some Old Bay seasoning into that, and it just makes this spicy, this Cajun-y. It's a sauce that's just perfect for sushi. I'll tell you that. And it also goes good with some of the fritters that we have that we make, like corn fritters or zucchini fritters. It's just really good. Anyway, the whole venom thing, the parasites, that's probably as bizarre as it's going to get in this video. This video is mostly about whether a person is getting the right kinds of nutrients from the right places. And surprisingly, even sugars can be good for you if you are eating the right kinds. I remember one time, a long time ago, maybe about 8 years ago, I was eating a banana at work, and a coworker who was eating a Little Debbie snack cake, he said to me that he would never touch a banana again because of something he saw on TV that said bananas have more sugar than your average dessert. So in his mind, it was better to eat the processed dessert containing the refined sugars than it was to eat fruit containing natural sugars. And so I distinctly remember him saying, well, I might as well just keep eating these snacks. They taste better than bananas and it has less sugar. So do you see how easily people can become so deceived about the natural foods and raw fruitarian and whole food plant-based? It's because of things that they see on TV and a lot of that junk science that people are watching on TV out there. If you understand how the body works, then you will know that natural sugars have cancer-fighting properties, and they allow your body to function the way it was meant to, whereas the refined sugars, sorry, there's a sideways picture. That's my wife's signature banana bread with peanut butter icing. And it has chocolate chips all throughout it, vegan chocolate chips. That is one of my favorite desserts that she makes. I'm not sure what that is. But looks like a little avocado salad here. Then we have... not sure what that was. It was some knockoff of a fried, maybe like a fried tenderloin or something. But anyway, our bodies have cancers inside of them regardless, kind of like the parasites, but the natural sugars fight off those cancers. If your body is if it is operating the way it was meant to, getting the foods that it was meant to, then you're going to reduce the cancers by allowing your body to function the way that it was meant to. You eliminate a lot more of the processed sugars that contribute to heart disease. So, another dispute. This kind of relates. It's that fruits and veggies, specifically what you find in the produce section at your local grocery store, they're sprayed with toxins when they are grown. So the mindset is that we shouldn't eat anything in the produce section. I've heard people make this argument and use this as a basis why it's bad to be plant-based. But it just neglects that all other foods in the stores are nothing more than prepackaged items with extensive ingredient lists, additives, preservatives, taste enhancers, and even the natural ingredients in those prepackaged foods, like that are made with vegetables, those have also been sprayed. So if you think you're doing better by eliminating the produce section and sticking with prepackaged foods, you have it backwards, guys. I mean, you're better off getting those items in the produce sections and using those as the base for your meals. It just doesn't make sense. Actually, I'm going to entertain their mentality for just a moment, because I do partially agree with them that there is a lot of truth to that. But you got to realize that there are different kinds of fruits and veggies sold in stores. And I don't mean just different kinds, but different qualities. Most of your average produce, those items are grown in fields. Yes, they are sprayed with pesticides. I understand that your average tomato is ripened with gas on the way to the produce or on the way to the store. I get it. I've read up on all of that, guys. I've even seen the GMO tomatoes next to natural tomatoes. I mean, natural tomatoes have geometric shapes that when you cut it open, it should have a geometric shape, and a genetically modified tomato just looks like a mess inside. It doesn't have that shape to it. That symmetrical, hexagonal, whatever shape is normally inside of a fruit, a natural fruit, a GMO doesn't look that way when you cut it open. But there are also organic items, and these claim to be less sprayed or not sprayed at all. That's supposed to be the good thing about organic, which is really a gamble most of the time. I'm not sure how people can really pinpoint every good or bad produce item that's sold in the stores. I do know a few good tips, chances to reduce getting bad products, but it's hard to stay away from produce that has been tampered with one way or another unless you go completely organic or truly organic, meaning that you grow your own foods. I do know, and what I've picked off, if you can see it down here on my screen, is the stickers that you get on fruits. They have a number code on it. Anything beginning with the number 4 has been sprayed with pesticides, and anything beginning with a 9 is supposed to be organic. But honestly, if you want satisfaction knowing that your fruits or vegetables are truly organic, then grow a garden yourself. And we do this every year. We have a garden in our backyard. We also purchase from local farmers at the town market all summer and even into the fall. But our circumstances don't allow us to, it doesn't allow us the luxury of maintaining those same standards year round. So in the wintertime, we do have to go to the grocery store if we want fresh produce. And we get it. We know it's not as fresh as the farmer's market. And we're aware of the different, the toxins, the pesticides. But here's the difference. Eating fresh produce from the grocery store is still the best option against the alternative, the pre-packaged foods with a zillion foreign ingredients that most people ignore. And that's the thing. Most critics, they don't even consider looking at the ingredients on a label when they go to the store. No way. They don't have any interest in learning what they are putting into their bodies. So they only become health experts when someone says they're vegans. Then automatically they're like, oh, what about your protein or B12? And we're going to get to that. But ultimately, there is no better way to nourish yourself than to eat raw fruits and veggies, whether you're in a position that only allows you the opportunity to get your produce from the store, or if you have the luxury of getting true organic foods from local gardeners or growing it yourself. I'll tell you now, if you want to start incorporating raw fruits and veggies in your diet from the store, even that option, that's still a better alternative than purchasing the junk that you'll find down the other aisles. It's always going to be better than what you get at fast food chains. It's just the healthiest place to be in a store. The produce section is, it's the healthiest section of a grocery store, the produce section. It's the most certain or guaranteed way to get pure vitamins and nutrients into your body, despite whether they have been sprayed. Okay. How do you think I was able to eliminate all the medications that I had been on for the past 15 years for autoimmune symptoms and acid reflux? It's not just because of what I eliminated from my body. That was a big part of it. Going vegan, the animals, getting all of the animal DNA out of my body, that was a big part of it. But it was because I increased the raw fruits and veggies. Okay. What do we got here? We got, it looks like a Mexi dish. My wife makes these beans. Sometimes she'll use pinto. Sometimes she'll use Great Northern. She actually uses a great variety of, when she makes Mexi beans, we start with dry beans and we put them in the Instapot, and then she has her Mexi seasoning. But that's how she does the beans. And we'll usually get a few meals out of them too. It's always really good. But anyways, like I was saying, I got off all these medications because it's not just because I eliminated certain foods from my diets. I started incorporating more raw fruits and veggies. So I'm receiving more nutrients now than ever before. And if you are eating the right foods, you will be healthier and more nourished. And it's as simple as that. If you're eating the raw fruits and veggies, if you have those and you eliminate more of the animal from your diet, you will be healthier. So honestly, guys, when I receive criticism about eating veggies from someone who lives off cheeseburgers and fountain pops, I just have to remind myself who I'm talking to. And I'm not going to get real deep into the theology behind the plant-based diet, other than to remind my viewers that the Creator made humans and animals both to eat plants. That's right. Even the carnivores were originally designed to eat plants. And there are texts that show us when animals and humans, when we began to defy our orders and when we started consuming one another, killing and eating. But in the garden, as it was originally designed, there was no killing, there was no death. Animals didn't kill each other, and they didn't kill humans. Humans didn't kill animals to eat. So even prophecies talk about the future and how it will all go back to the original arrangement, where the lion will lie down with the lamb and eat straw like the ox. You guys know the prophecies. But the reason I mention the Bible is because most people who are against vegans or against a plant-based diet, they will jump straight to Genesis 9, which is the chapter where Noah gets off the ark. And so people will say, oh, look, God tells Noah that animals are now given to us for food. And so this is the common mentality of the average Christian who eats meat, or the average Torah keeper. So I know in this video I'm talking to mostly my Christian friends, but I do on my channel, I talk to a lot of Torah observant messianics also. So not sure what I did there. I think I took a couple pieces of pizza and I Mexified it. Maybe it was Mexican pizza, I'm not sure. But pizza, if you can't tell, pizza is a big part of our diet on a regular basis. So anyway, the common mentality is that anyone who they believe that, the meat eating, since it's supported by, let's just say Genesis 9 is the moment where God gives the green light. Now, I'm not even going to go into different interpretations of that or anything. If a person wants to eat meat because of Genesis 9, I'm fine with that, and I respect whatever you see in the Bible, and I won't try to convince you otherwise of your interpretations. That's fine. I'm just going to share just a few thoughts for a moment. If you don't agree, it's not a big deal. We can still be civilized. We'll respect each other's views about the Bible. That's okay. I'm fine with meat eaters, to be honest. My whole family eats meat, and that's okay. I'm never going to try to convince them that they should stop eating meat or dairy, because it's just something that people have to come to on their own. But I will share why we have made the change. And I don't know, maybe that'll plant a seed, maybe not. But if nobody ends up becoming vegan, I'm fine with that. It doesn't bother us. What bothers us more is when people try to make us feel bad about being vegan, or if they try to tell us that we should at least, give into, if it's whether, I don't know, on a holiday or something, and they say, oh, can't you just eat meat this one time or something like that. It's when people try to get us to go against our convictions. That's really the only time that we get annoyed. But anyway, getting back to Genesis. We know in Genesis 1 we were made to eat plants, but then in Genesis 9, later in the story, this was after the fall of man, guys, okay? Mankind was now living in a disobedience to the Father. In the garden, it was no killing, eat plants. After the garden, hey, people are killing. That's not part of God's design. People are eating the animals. So mankind is now living in disobedience to the Father from his original design. And so from the Father's perspective, he was now dealing with mankind differently than before, okay? He was responding to their conduct, okay? And this is after they got off the ark. And so as mankind changed more and more, the Father responded to mankind in different ways, according to where they were at in their level of understanding. And so by the time of the flood, the Creator had come to this place. He had come a long way with humanity. It wasn't the same as when he talked to Adam and Eve, who were a perfect couple in the garden before they ate the fruit. He wasn't dealing with sinless humanity anymore. In Genesis 9, he was now dealing with fallen man who had already begun killing and eating animals. So people today, they want to jump straight to the later part of the story in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 9, after mankind had fallen, to support why it's okay to eat animals. And like I said, I'm okay with that. But what doesn't make sense is that why would you want to jump to that part of the story when you could go to the part where mankind was living according to what God intended. Okay? He designed it one way and said, it is good. So why would we want anything less? Why would we choose something that mankind chose after we rebelled against his design, especially knowing that everything will be restored to that same natural order in the future? Well, one reason that people jump straight to Genesis 9, it's because so many people buy into this idea that the earth's environment after the flood was insufficient to sustain humanity without eating animals. So you get all these theories about, the earth's atmosphere, mankind needing protein and calcium and B12 and just whatever whatever they think you need from animals. But so even after all these theories, they don't realize you can get all of these things from plants. So, like I said, they say the atmosphere changed after the flood and the oxygen levels affected our lifespan and other things. So for that reason, we were given the green light on killing and eating animals, saying, here, you get all things now. You can eat the animals. But if this were the case, why have there always been herbivores that have survived history for generations without ever eating animals? In other words, how have plant eaters survived without meat? I'm talking about cows, gorillas, elephants, hippopotami, the rhinoceros, giraffes, moose, bison, horse, deer, camels. So it's silly to think that humans need meat when no other herbivore has ever needed anything beyond plants to survive their entire lives. And they have survived the scope of history. And not to mention that all of these animals that I listed, they are a lot larger and stronger than humans. And they certainly aren't malnourished, okay? So I'm going to tell you what the one of the record-holding strongman Patrick Babonian, he said, if you want to be as strong as an ox, then eat like an ox. And this guy is a vegan strongman. Actually, it's his picture that is on the thumbnail of this video. So he's achieved multiple world records in a variety of different lift challenges. And but it makes sense. The strongest and largest beasts on the earth are all herbivores. So to think that eating meat is necessary to survive or to give us necessary proteins, it's just untrue, guys. Animal meat does not provide anything that we can't get from plants, okay? And like I said, some of the common myths are that protein has to come from animals, or that calcium has to come from milk or dairy, and people need to eat meat to get B12. These are all popular myths that people commonly buy into. None of those statements are true. It just takes a little research to find that what plants you need to get those vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. And what we have on the screen here is our first, maybe not the first, we've done this a couple of times, but this is the famous carrot dog. It's a substitute for hot dog, and it's you just take carrots and you pressure cook them with the right seasonings, and it ends up coming out like a grilled hot dog. And it really does have kind of that flavor. I mean, obviously you're going to tell the difference with most items, but it really was a convincing copycat recipe. Here we got seitan. I can't remember. I think that's what it's called. I get all of these different vegan foods mixed up. That's probably not even what it's called. Now I'm having second thoughts. But anyway, we made BLTs. I don't think that's it now. I think it's something else. Uh, can't think of the name, but here are our BLTs. Anyway, the problem is not where vegans receive our protein, given that we're talking about a whole food plant-based diet. The problem is where meat eaters receive their protein. I mean, we're talking about eating an animal who has already processed the proteins. The protein that you get when eating an animal, it originally came from the plants that the animal consumed during its life, all right? The only difference is that now you are receiving proteins that have traveled through the anatomy of an animal first and have been filtered and compromised. So the quality of protein that you get from animal meat, it's not as pure as what you would get from eating the plants where the proteins originated from. And it's in the process, the bad part about it is that people who do eat animals, they also receive unnecessary saturated fats, cholesterol, lactose, and that's why people are on so many high blood pressure medicines today. It's the meat and the dairy. It's the extras that you get. It's not just the protein, the good thing that you're getting from them. Like I said, that's already a compromised protein. You may be getting protein, but it's a filtered protein. But you're getting all this other crap in the process, guys, okay? So by choosing a plant-based diet, you can receive essential nutrients, including vitamins, minerals, proteins, pure plant fats, fibers, and antioxidants. So by consuming the plant itself, by skipping the middleman, none of these nutrients are compromised by traveling through an animal first. And so if you are what you eat, as the saying goes, then animals consist of the plants they consume. This is good for the animal, but the person eating that animal is only receiving filtered secondhand nutrients. Okay, does that make sense? Basically, eating animals only gives the consumer recycled proteins. So for those who believe they are receiving essential proteins from an animal, they don't consider that in the process they also consume hormones that come from that animal, the blood from that animal. It actually gets cooked into the meat. A lot of people think you're cooking the meat out. It actually gets cooked in, and not all the blood is ever drained from an animal. That's another myth. Ultimately, the DNA from an animal becomes a part of the human anatomy when it is digested, which that's what has adverse effects on humans. And this is just a sheet of my wife's granola bars. Also, let me go back. I thought I had more pictures of these, but her granola bars, really good. They are so dense and full and rich, full of just goodness, yumminess. This is her strawberry loaf. Also really good, completely natural, made with fresh strawberries. Here are some of the fritters I was talking about. These are, I think, zucchini fritters. Here's some of her lemon loaf. I'm telling you guys, there's a better way. One thing to keep in mind is that nutrients come from the ground. Vitamins, minerals. The ground is what produces nutrients. And the way that our Creator designed it, plants are the natural conduit that He made for the purpose of transferring nutrients from the ground to your body. And think about that, because you were made from the ground. Do you remember the story, Genesis 1? God took earth and He formed it, breathed life into it, and a human soul was made. So when you're eating plants, you're receiving more of what the Creator made you with. Granted, that's why they're destroying the earth with all of these chemicals. That's why there's an agenda to spray the entire earth with chemtrails, with Roundup, all of these cancer causing agents. It is an agenda. It is a diabolical scheme to make God's creation sick. I mean, it's just the way the adversary has always worked, guys. He knows the ground is full of nutrients. He doesn't want you to know the secret of eating healthy, eating the plants, the fruits that God gave to us. And when you pick a fruit from the tree, it contains life. Plucking the heads of grains and snacking on wheat or oats in their natural form. There's nothing more nutritious than plants in the wild, guys. How about the calcium myth? That it has to come from dairy. Well, calcium is also, it's a mineral from the ground that transfers through the vegetation, which again, it's the conduit that our Creator designed. And so sure, you can receive calcium from cow's milk, but it's not a part of the Creator's natural order for humans to drink the milk of another species. That cow's milk was meant for its baby, its calf, okay? And here we have my version, or mine and my wife's version. We both came up with this. It is a Mexican pizza. We tried to copycat the Taco Bell's Mexican pizza. Obviously, we added a few extras to make it even that much yummier. Here is a challah loaf, or a challah bread, as I can't pronounce it the way you're supposed to, but it's a bread that we made. It looks like we pretzeled this one, and we gave it a pretzel bath before we baked it. Looks pretty good. Eggplant. Simple little lunch or dinner. I don't know what that was. Here's a more hearty meal. Mashed potatoes with mushroom gravy and some roasted carrots and corn. This is my son's lunch. He eats like this all the time, just fruits for lunch and cashews, a pasta dish, mushroom, and my wife's homemade cashew Alfredo sauce. Telling you guys, there's a better way. Whole food, plant-based. You can do it. But like I was saying, it's not a part of the Creator's natural order for humans to drink cow's milk. Now, if you want to, that's fine. But like the healthiest option is to find a farmer who does it. Don't get this stuff in the stores. For some reason, society has arrived at the point where we believe a mother's milk, a human mother, their milk is only sufficient for the baby until it can transition over to the milk of another species. And so children are weaned off a perfectly healthy source of nutrients only to become addicted to a highly processed substance that comes from a four-legged beast and a cow that has been pumped full of antibiotics and hormones. And so the cow is artificially inseminated so that it will begin producing milk. And when that cow ends up giving birth to the calf, if it's a male, that calf is just going to be taken away from it and it's going to be sent to the veal factory. So, and there was, I can't remember exactly the channel, but there's a lady that talks about this stuff all the time. Colleen Patrick or Fitzpatrick, Colleen Patrick. Can't remember exactly what her name is, but she's the one where I get a lot of this good information from when it comes to the nutrition and like this stuff that I was just telling you about, just where society has come to, why we think why we think that we have to wean our children from humans' mother's milk and then get them addicted to this stuff that we buy in the store. But seriously, guys, once the milk is collected from these cows, it's in the factory, it's stripped away of many of the beneficial nutrients, and it's replaced with foreign additives, preservatives, other ingredients. So when people believe that a human mother's milk is only temporarily beneficial until that child can begin drinking the processed milk from the animal kingdom. And if we believe it's a better option for everyone throughout the remainder of their lives, it just goes to show how far humanity has disconnected from the design of the Creator. And at the end of the day, guys, let me go back and show you the pancakes, the chocolate chip pancakes. I'm telling you guys, and all of this stuff that you're seeing that's made with flour, 90% of it has been milled fresh. We have that grain mill. These cinnamon rolls, milled fresh. I'm not sure what looks like cauliflower. I'm not sure what the sauce is. It might be that one I was telling you about. But rice and peas, homemade bread, the cauliflower. That's one of my favorites. I love cooked cauliflower. Better to eat it raw, but can't go wrong either way. It's still better than that cheeseburger you got at Rally's, guys. Here's looks like a half loaf of bread. My wife made in the bread maker, I think. I guess I went a little mushroom happy here, but this was just something I whipped together. I think we had some tortillas, and I made a pizza out of it with some spinach and mushrooms and some homemade pizza sauce. Power bowl. We do power bowls all the time. Banana nut bread with pecan. I'm telling you guys, I'm trying to wrap up here. It's like when you start talking about this stuff, people just jump to these misconceptions about vegans and that they are malnourished. And look at this food, guys. How can you be malnourished eating this stuff that we are eating? I'm telling you guys, at the end of the day, it's the great majority of people who criticize vegans. They have absolutely no standards for themselves when it comes to what they put in their bodies. They'll eat any fast food chain on a regular basis. They don't question how the food makes its way through the entire process. And if you knew how a cow, a pig, or a chicken, how they're conceived, how they're raised, and then dragged through the factory process, butchered into a load of hamburgers or nuggets. And by the way, if you were aware of what else made its way into these nuggets and these hamburger patties, it would haunt you for the rest of your life. Learning how a chicken McNugget is made would give you nightmares if you could see it. And this is why people refuse to research. They don't want to know about the process of meat factories. It's like they know it's a disgusting process, but instead they just ignore whatever is inconvenient to their lifestyle. And so because they convince themselves that their own diets are healthy, consequently, they retain all of these myths about vegans. So, when a person has no dietary standards and eats anything put in front of them with no self-control, I personally won't listen to anything they have to say. Chances are fresh fruits and vegetables are a foreign item in their homes. And so one thing I wanted to show you is what Psalm 104:14 says. This has been on my heart today. He causes the grass to grow for the cattle and herbs for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. And I shared that on social media today. And it's just one of those verses that is like, it's so good. I mean, it's obvious that God created the herbs and the plants for us to consume. And there's so many more points that I could bring out, but I think I've shared most of my piece today. And if you've been looking at any of these pictures, some of the phenomenal recipes that my wife has made, here's some more pancakes. You should be able to tell that nothing we eat would prevent us from receiving the proper nutrition. Because it's whole food, it's plant-based, okay? This is every Friday at my house. The entire counter is vegetables that have been washed and put through a little an oil bath that my wife gives them. We always have fresh chopped sides and veggies for our quinoa black bean tacos. I don't know what kind of salad that is. Looks like I topped it in a lot of chia seeds. Here's a burrito with a side salad. Look, everything looks Mexy there. Another salad. Look like macadamia nuts in there. White raisins. Cherry tomato from our garden. I don't think that's one of ours. I think that's the picture of the buffalo chicken sandwich, the buffalo vegan chicken sandwich that we copycatted. Here are some like quesadilla wrap towers. I can't remember what Chili's makes. Grilled stuffed burrito. That's not a homemade tortilla. And then I guess that's my last pick. My vegan grocery list. So yeah, guys, it doesn't get any more nutritious than a raw fruitarian or pure vegetarian diet, which is no animal products, most things in there raw. Like I said, we do that as much as we can stand, but it's not practical for everyone. That's why we stick to mostly whole food, plant-based, and occasionally we'll have a vegan junk food here and there. And so that's it, guys. That's all I have for today. I appreciate you guys watching. If you like what you saw, hit the like button. If you want to know more of the theological aspect of veganism, hit the subscribe button, because that's what mostly I talk about, how it pertains to the story of the Bible. And if you know anyone else who might be interested in this channel, just let them know. Like I said, thanks again. Thanks for watching. I'll go ahead and get out of here. Have a good one, guys.